Am I recording right now? Can't tell. Oh, yep, I am. Ha. Everything you need right here in one place. I'm talking about a movie theater, grocery stores, restaurants, a gym, a regional park, and a brewery. I'm talking about Champlin, Minnesota. And while Champlin is such a great city that has possibly everything that you could ever need, it does have one fatal flaw. And that's... Stay tuned to find out. What's going on, guys? BrandonArchie here, aka your favorite Minnesota realtor, and today we are in the beautiful city of Champlin, Minnesota. But first, before we get started, if you are thinking about moving to Minnesota, whether it be now or next year, then shoot me an email at BrandonArchie@kw.com so that we can set up a meeting and talk about what it is you're looking for and put together a plan to make your move as smooth as possible. Now, let's get started. Now, Champlin, Minnesota is a northern suburb situated in between Dayton and Brooklyn Park. And if you've been keeping up with my Where to Live in Minnesota series, I actually talked about Champlin a little bit in part 2, which you can watch right here. Now, while Champlin is a fantastic city that should be on anybody's radar, it does have one fatal flaw, which I'm going to be talking about at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around. Okay, so for now, let's talk stats. So again, Champlin is a northern suburb that's about 20 to 30 minutes away from Minneapolis and borders Dayton to the west, Brooklyn Park to the south, and it borders the Mississippi River diagonally along the east, also separating Champlin from Anoka to the north. Now, if you look at Champlin on a map, it's kind of shaped like a right-angled triangle. Now, Champlin isn't a really big city at all, with the population being just over 23,000. And just to give you some perspective on that, Brooklyn Park, which Champlin borders, has a population of 83,000 and is the 6th largest city in Minnesota. Now, the median household income of Champlin is $104,000, and 90% of the residents here own or occupy their home. Now, one of my favorite things about Champlin is that pretty much everything that you would need is right here in one place. You have your Cub Foods for grocery shopping, your Champlin movie theater that I actually go to, seeing how Maple Grove is only 10 minutes away. You have plenty of restaurants, bars to go to if you want to grab a drink or catch the game, and you have all your basic necessities like Target. You also have convenience of Highway 169 going right up the middle of Champlin, which makes it very easy to get places. And just because it's a fun fact that I actually just found out is that you can actually start driving from Champlin and take 169 all the way down to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, 169 is where everything is here, so whenever you need to get anything in Champlin, you already know where to go. Hey, real quick, let's talk about this weather real quick. It's February in Minnesota, and I'm sitting outside at a park with nothing but a long sleeve on. This is beautiful. Okay, so first off, let's talk about notable restaurants in Champlin, which the first one would be 5-8 Grill, which is technically in Brooklyn Park, but if you cross the street, you would be in Champlin anyway, so we're gonna let this one slide. Now, the reason why I have the 5-8 Grill as one of my notable restaurants in Champlin is because 5-8 was actually one of the proposed originators of the Juicy Lucy cheeseburger, which is basically a giant burger that has infused cheese inside of the patty. Now, my favorite Juicy Lucy is actually the jalapeno popper Juicy Lucy, and is actually probably one of my favorite burgers in general. And if you don't believe me, here's a screenshot of a text that I got from a client who tried it when she came here to visit. Now, next on my list is Q Fanatic, which is a barbecue spot right off of 169. Now, full disclosure, I haven't actually tried it yet, but the reason why I say it's notable is because it was actually featured on Guy Fieri's Dinners, Dive-Ins, and Drives, or however you say that, back in 2011. And lastly, this one doesn't really have anything notable that I at least know about, other than the fact that it's probably my favorite place in Champlin to eat, and that is Chili Lime, which is a street taco spot. Alright, so the overall vibe that you'll get from Champlin is definitely family focused. Now, it comprises of mostly single family homes and only a couple apartment complexes. But my absolute favorite thing about Champlin is that the fact that it's bordered by Elm Creek Park Reserve, which is not only a 4,900 acre park, but it's also the largest park in the Three Rivers Park District. Now, this park has everything that you could possibly... Come on. Jesus. Now, this park has everything that you could possibly name, like swimming, playgrounds, frisbee golf, off-the-leash dog parks, and my favorite, the miles and miles of walking/biking trails. Now, this park is so big that if you hit the trails without knowing where you're going, you could easily end up getting lost, or quickly realize that you have a 5-mile walk back to your car. Now, I love it because there are so many different ways that you can go. Now, if you're someone that likes to come here often, you can switch it up from time to time and get a completely different experience every time. But you'll want to be careful careful because there actually have been bear sightings here before. Now, I myself thought I was about to die when I was here taking pictures by myself a few weeks ago and a deer jumped out of the bushes and onto the path like 20 feet away from me. I swear I felt my soul leave my body. And coming here in the fall is like a whole different experience when the leaves start to change colors. Taking a look at all the views in nature as you're walking is super relaxing, and it's a great place to take pictures as well. Even in the winter, there's just as much to do. You can go sledding, cross-country skiing, or even snowmobiling. Now, if you like beer, then you can head on over to Elm Creek Brewery, which is actually the only brewery in Champlin, further adding to Minnesota's growing craft beer scene. Now, if you go here, you can expect a very relaxed environment and, of course, good beer. And in the summer, you can either sit indoors or outdoors, and there's typically some kind of food truck outside. Now, they have video games inside to keep the kids busy while the adults are busy adulting, and they also have live music from time to time. Basically, it's a pretty fun place to go whether you have kids or not, further adding to Champlin's family-first persona. Well, figured since I was at Elm Creek Brewing, I might as well grab a few beers to bring home. Cheers. Oh, and don't worry, I'm recording this video on a Friday, so this beer is totally acceptable right now. Alright, so as far as the schools go, Champlin is part of the Anoka-Hennepin School District, which has 3 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and 1 high school. Now, you'll be happy to send your kids here as Anoka-Hennepin School District gets an A- on niche.com, and it also is ranked number 33 as best school districts in Minnesota out of 361. Now, I only have one more thing to talk about before I tell you guys what the one major flaw is that Champlin has, but if you've gotten any value out of this video so far and want more content like this, then consider hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget to like the video. Okay, now if you've watched any of my other city tours, then you know what's coming up. My favorite part of the video, the real estate. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier in the video, the home ownership rate in Champlin is 90%, and that's because there really aren't any apartments here. Now, you will have Elm Creek apartments that will cost you anywhere from $1,000 to $1,600 a month, and you have the brand new luxury apartments, the Bow Line, which sits right on the Mississippi, and those are gonna cost you anywhere from $1,300 all the way up to $3,000 a month. Now, other than that, Champlin is pretty much all residential homes. And as of September 2023, the median sales price for a home in Champlin was $388,000, which was $18,000 higher than the Twin Cities as a whole. Now, the majority of homes here were built in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, so you're gonna see a lot of split level homes. Now, you can, however, find homes that were built in the early to mid 2000s as well. Now, there are also a couple of brand new communities that have been built over the last couple years, and since Champlin is pretty small though, I wouldn't expect too many more new developments to pop up in the future. Now, over the last couple years, the city of Champlin has also implemented a citywide rental ban that limits the amount of single-family homes that can be used as rentals. Now, this ban was put into place to keep investors from buying up all the homes, making homeownership more accessible for first-time homebuyers. So just make sure to keep that in the back of your mind if you had plans on renting out your home in the future. And just to give you the scope of price ranges, the cheapest home to sell in Champlin in the last year was a 900 square foot townhouse for $180,000, while the most expensive home that sold was a 4,300 square foot home on the river built in 2017 for $1.2 million. Okay, so by now you may be thinking to yourself, man, Champlin sounds great, but what is this major flaw he keeps talking about? Well, that major flaw with Champlin is actually its location. Now, it has the Mississippi River running down the right side, Elm Creek Park along the left, leaving the only way to access Champlin being north and south. And what's the only road that runs north and south through Champlin? 169. Now, during rush hour, 169 is a pain in the you-know-what because it basically is the only way you can get through. And to make things worse, if you want to get to cities on the other side of the river like Anoka, Ramsey, or even Coon Rapids, the only way to get through them is through Champlin. Now, depending on where you're going or how far into Champlin you actually live, it may not be that bad because there are a few back roads that you can take. But if you live in the northern portion of Champlin, you might want to find a good podcast to listen to on your way home from work, or a great YouTube video. Hey, if you want to learn more about the other cities surrounding Champlin, you should watch this video next.